go on mute.
Yeah. Sorry, is there a slide on where you say we start at 16:30, or you will start anyhow at 16:30, assuming that they are all in? Or do you still give them a couple of minutes? Because be aware, as of the moment you go live and you share the link with them, everything you say, they will hear it. Huh? So as of the moment you go live, nobody here can still, well, you can say whatever you want, but be aware that they will hear it.
Even if you're on mute? Even if you're on mute, no?
Even if you are on mute, yeah. If you're on mute, we also don't hear you anymore, of course, Steven. Yeah, that's yeah.
Okay, I shared the YouTube link, so indeed we are.
Yeah, you're live now, on. Yeah, you're live.
Okay. We are all live, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So unless the link is not shared yet.
The thing is, just a question also with the questions. So the Vikrant will facilitate and pick up the relevant ones. What we can also say is we respond to the questions and we'll send it out as minutes. Huh?
Yeah. So I think the other questions that we might not answer can be sent out later. Yeah.
So please requested that we are live, huh? Because I will do that also now. At least. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, correct. I'm in the YouTube live session. All is fine with, I said 10 seconds delay, more or less.
That's why you didn't respond very easily. Yeah.
And can you hear?
Yes.
Can you share the link, the YouTube link, and I will send out to all the vendors?
I already did in the private chat.
Okay.
There is, I saw a maximize button, but there is a button for enter full screen. If you do that, then the presentation is on at least 60% of the screen.
And where is that button?
The button is.
It's under the videos where you see all the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have even found it, but.
Yeah, but I don't know how to then go to my presentation.
Yeah, of course, you need to first do that. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're sure you have the latest
This is like that I can
yes,
get
that's
it.
fine, that's fine, but
That's fine.
No worries, no worries.
Okay.
You sure you have the latest link? Eh? But there is only one document, so okay.
And we will stay in this. We will stay in this call now. It's 6 minutes to go.
Yes, we stay in this call. So everything ready? Smile.
Everybody received.
I guess everything is in here.
Smile and enjoy
the link.
Enjoy.
And all the service providers have the link.
Yes.
Okay, good.
I'll also go in via my mobile, so I'll double check.
Okay, no, that's clear. It's good. I still go for a small toilet break with all this tension to get the practicalities done. And to be honest, I have been in meetings all the time. So.
And I suppose for the questions on Jorge, they can raise the questions throughout the session, right? We will only answer them at the end, but they're free to raise questions as they arise.
Only via the form, yes.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
So normally you have access, Vikrant?
Yeah, I have access to it online, and I can see 5 questions already.
Yeah, that's the best thing.
Yeah. Test, test, two, test. And your face is really van Brussel. You don't see
Yes.
anything. It's very dark.
Ah.
It's
Because
okay
I
on
have
the
the light
YouTube
behind
live.
me.
It's okay on the. I'm looking also at the same time as the YouTube. It's okay.
Ah, okay.
The only thing is, I don't know if you're going to say a lot, but you sound very distant, to be honest.
I will not say so much.
Okay.
I think we have 4 people joining our live stream. Meanwhile, 2. Simone, your email?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yeah. Let me check. Okay. smile. We're live.
Vieni, non ti preoccupare.
Siamo in cazzo di nuove tecnologie.
All right, shall we then start? Oh, okay, I see Jorge joining in as well. All right. Jorge, will you kick off? Because I think your connection is okay now.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes?
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good.
All right, then I'll suggest, Jorge, you take the intro and the word. All right. Also a delay of 10 seconds, by the way. Otherwise, I'll just start. So, good afternoon, everyone. It is quite new, this way of presenting, so bear with us if there are some issues with connection or with the backgrounds or whatever there is. But we wanted to have the opportunity for you to really also see the team, introduce themselves, and obviously also ask questions via the form that was sent yesterday by Jorge. And so during the presentation, the team will obviously present their own part and the reasoning why we are doing this RFP. And please then also use that Q&A form as you will not able to use the chat function on YouTube. So obviously, we are very happy to invite you to this RFP, and thank you already for the interest that you're showing into this RFP for the ADA and AMS services. And I will now not say more and kick off and let the floor to Steven.
So I think also welcome from my side. My name is Steven van Damme. I'm CIO at Barry Calbout, and on set today already. I think we are delighted to share with you our go-to-market on these important services for Barry Callebaut, which is our application delivery services, call it the projects we deliver for the business, and also application maintenance and support services. Already thank you at this stage for your interest and for the time that you're taking for this briefing and your active participation today. Can I have the next slide, please, Bart? So what we would like to cover is a welcome introduction I think we have had, and my team will introduce themselves a little bit later on because it makes more sense in this presentation. They introduce them after you got a little bit more context on this RFP and the scope of it. We will then have you, we will talk to you about scope and key expectations, and also some next steps, which are how do we see the process after today's meeting. Question and answer is, as Anne has already said, is you have had a question list. For that question list is, yeah, it's available with you. Please log your questions in there. We will have a moderator that will pick up the most relevant questions at this stage. If we can cover them all, we will cover them all. If we cannot cover them all, we will also respond to questions we could not answer in today's session, and then communicate to you back on the answers we have to the questions we could not respond to. And if I can have the next slide, Bart, and I guess Anne, I have the assumption that Jorge is not joining, so I will take then over. So just a bit of a context to this RFP. So, and you will see some acronyms here today. AD is for us application delivery. So application delivery and development, so call it the project services we provide as an information management division to Barry Callebaut as a group. And AMS stands for application maintenance and support services. And so on the context of this RFP, for us, this is a very important RFP. I often call it the most RFP and go-to-market, the most important RFP and go-to-market we can do, because this is about the bread and butter of what we do for our company. And so delivering application projects and then also the application support. The main goal is that we are reaching out to the marketplace to establish a key strategic partnership for these services for the next 5 years. So we're talking about a horizon of 5 years. We are currently working with one main tier 1 vendor partner, and we have a tail of several other vendors we are working with for these services. Leading to today what has become a little bit of too fragmented spend. Yeah. Context is also that in the past 5 years, driven by digitalization at Barry Callebaut, we have increased our investment levels considerably. Actually, the CapEx we have available at the speed at which we can deliver projects has doubled in the last 5 years. So we had a CAGR, a growth rate of close to 20% year on year in terms of us being able to deliver projects and the speed at which we do. And we think that in that context also, as we have been growing, the pie has become bigger, that having a larger tail of vendors has introduced too much complexity. Yeah. We have also in the last couple of years, because of us scaling and getting more into digital, faced some challenges and difficulties in having access to the right talent and resources and skills. And I think it's in that context that we do this RFP, looking ahead into what is our project portfolio, the challenges we have ahead of us, looking into what can the market offer. And our idea is also to bring in a vendor/partner, actually two as a going in, to support us on these services moving forward. So context key to retain, we have fastly grown. We look for partners to deliver on the application delivery and application maintenance and support services for the 5 years to come. and with a prime objective to have access to people, with skilled people to deliver on these services for Barry Callebaut. If I can have the next slide, Bart. Objectives then of this reach out to marketplace. So we would like to do a very profound assessment of your capabilities in the area of service that is the scope of this RFP. We have also, in the context of this RFP, reflected on our sourcing strategy moving forward. And in the context of what I have just sketched, our current thinking is that we need to move to a dual sourcing strategy, where we bring in 2 tier 1 vendor partners that can support us on our future challenges in general, but also more specific in the context of digitalization. Yeah? And new technologies that are around to also make sure we can introduce these successfully at Barry Callebaut. So 2 vendor strategy. As already said, we want to reduce the number of vendors which are in the tail. So in the past 5 years, we combined 1 main tier 1 strategic vendor with a larger tail. And we want to reduce on the tail and give a bigger portion of the pie to actually 2 tier 1 vendors. First and above all, we're looking for a partner that can deliver on our journey and on the strategic initiatives we have to deliver on for our company's success in the coming years. Of course, also what plays in the end also cost matters, and then cost TCO will be an important objective for this go-to-market with this RFP. If I can have the next slide, Bart. I think, we were originally for the process and the approach for this go-to-market on a different foot, where we originally intended to do a broader RFI, and so reach out to marketplace with a much larger vendor audience. As we were discussing internally on this, we have actually changed gear, and we decided to go immediately into an RFP process with a shorter list of vendors. So you have been selected as one of those vendors. So you're already part of a little bit, a first shortlist of what we have in mind. Yeah. The idea of doing that is also that we want to have a bit of a streamlined process in going through this reach out to the marketplace and have more qualitative discussions with a more targeted group of vendors, instead of just throwing back and forth files without having sufficient time for interaction. Yeah. We really want to build this into this approach, so a more narrow group of vendors, but really, let's say after first screening them, to really take more time for conversations to make sure that we get to know each other, that we get to know you, that you get to know us. Yeah? And instead of a quantitative process of the more the merry to join, we go for a more qualitative process in this RFP. Next slide. Yep. Then I think we start this process with a more limited long list, as already said. The idea would be, and we will go to the timelines in the last section today, is then to come to a list of 3. And with the list of 3, we will have much more in-depth discussions, like already said, with a more qualitative approach. Yeah. Key considerations we will have in the shortlisting. First of all, the qualitative assessment. So we're looking for services we can deliver to Barry Callebaut as a business in application delivery and development and maintenance and support. Yeah. Of course, key will be in here that you are fit to deliver those services and to become our partner for the future. And that's of course key and goes above all, fit for purpose. And I will come back on that a little bit later in this presentation, already shed a light on what these key selection criteria are. Second is, of course, there's always the contractual aspect. So our legal department contracting, we also have here certain requirements that will come to the equation. Like I already said in the beginning, TCO cost also plays, of course. As an information management department, we deliver qualitative services at competitive costs for the Barry Callebaut group. Pricing, of course, will also matter, but in that sequence, as just said. From a timeline point of view, we start today. Of course, a lot of preparation went in this already. We already reflected on sourcing strategy. We reflected on our requirements for the future. Today is kind of the kickoff with the vendor group, all of you being invited. The idea is that we come to a finalization of a contract, or call it contracts, by November 2021. How we see the process between now and end of November is something we will explain in the what's next section. Then I move on to scope and key expectations, and before doing that, I go a little bit narrow for those of you that are less acquainted already with Barry Callebaut. And so Barry Callebaut, we are a business-to-business company in the food industry. We are shaping the world of chocolate and cocoa, so we are the market leader in business-to-business chocolate and cocoa. Other players in this field are Cargill, Olam, Puratos, and some others. Both in chocolate and in cocoa. For this specific ingredient to the food industry, we are the number one. We are by far the number one in chocolate, so double as big as our second competitor. And in cocoa, we are bigger than Cargill, and then Cargill is like 2/3 of our size, at least for this ingredient category. We are a mid-sized multinational. Some key figures on the company. So we are producing and selling 2 million of chocolate every year. That's a lot of trucks. One truck is 20 tons, so 20,000, so 20 tons. 2 million is a lot of trucks. We have a turnover of 7 billion Swiss. These are figures of fiscal year 20 that we ended end of August of 2020. Last year, in a Corona year, we made close to 500 million EBIT. So in normal years, this is 600. So because of Corona, we had a bit of a hit in our HoReCa segment, in our gourmet segment. We are a 12,000 employee company, so 12,000 employees at Barry Callebaut. What else is important here? I think, global. So we are not a European company. We are present in Africa, origin countries, present in now North and South America. We are present in Asia Pacific. So really global company with 160 factories. We have 130 locations in total in the company, of which sales offices, headquarters, etc., next to the 60 factories. Sustainability, I think you see to the bottom left, 100% sustainable. So we have a very important sustainability strategy, 2025, which is core to the future success of our company, we believe. And then last, what I would also like to say is from a midterm guidance point of view, Barry Callebaut is a growth company. So we aim to grow 5 to 7% in volume per year, with an EBIT growth which exceeds the 5 to 7% per year. So this is barring unforeseen circumstances like what we had with COVID, but under normal circumstances, we have demonstrated in the past 10 to 20 years that we have been delivering on that midterm guidance. So we are a growth company. I think we are growing on average 2 to 3 times faster than other companies in the food industry. So that's a bit on our company. So mid-sized global multinational. From a business strategy point of view, the vision is we are the heart and the engine of the chocolate and cocoa industry. Barry Callebaut is very focused on chocolate and cocoa as ingredients. So we never went into other ingredients. So we really focus on these ingredients and want to be the leader in it. The business strategy consists of 4 pillars. Expansion, I already referred to it. We want to be a growth company, growing 5 to 7% per year. Also be an innovation company. Why? We're not a Cargill, we're not an Olam with high volume industrialized products, but we really want to innovate. And I think those of you that follow Barry Callebaut have heard about our innovations like Ruby, the pink chocolate, or Whole Fruit. So really want to be an innovative company. Cost leadership is important because we are a B2B company. We need to have a value proposition towards our customers, which is the Nestlés, the Unilevers, the Mondelez's of this world, amongst others. If we can't produce and innovate around chocolate less expensive than what they can do for themselves, then we don't have a value proposition with them. Because in business terms, delivering the service and the product is one thing, but you need to be able to do it at a competitive cost and price. So cost leadership is key. And then last but not least, I already referred to it, sustainability with our Forever Chocolate 2025 agenda is really key for the success of the business. It has several sub-objectives, and it also translates into some, I would call it, strategic initiatives that we currently have and that we need to support as an information management department at Barry Callebaut. Focused on chocolate and cocoa, consistent business strategy with these 4 pillars, successful smart growth. So if you look into the compound annual growth rate over the past years, both in turnover and EBIT, we have been delivering on our promise that we made to the shareholder community. If I can have the next slide, Bart. Then I think from the information management, as an information management department, and by the way, I don't like the word IT because it's so technology oriented. So I call it information management because it's about information, it's about data, it's about analytics that we bring to the business. The strategy is a road, but never an end. So it is a road, but never an end. What are the key principles? So first of all, core principle is we aim for common global processes, applications, data, and IT infrastructure backbones for the Barry Callebaut Group. So global standards. Cloud digital first. Since 5-6 years, it's cloud first, and you'll see that later on in the application architecture. Salesforce, HR, SuccessFactors, Concur, Tahitic, etc. Cloud. So a lot of cloud digital first. We see an acceleration in analytics. We have a single instance strategy of everything, a single instance SAP, SAP, a single instance Salesforce, a single instance Maximo, a single instance of everything of HR SuccessFactors. We have that for several reasons. We are a global service provider to Barry Callebaut, and need to govern the relationship with the business units, the regions, and the global functions. And also, this is important. In general, we work with what I would call an extended organization. It's what we insource and what we outsource, and I will come back on that a little bit later on. And whilst we outsource, we prefer to select key Tier 1 partners with which we walk our journey towards this strategy and deliver on the projects and the services for the company. So it's not about bringing in a lot of vendors/partners, but carefully selecting them and then stay with them at least 5 years and hopefully, let's say, for more. And that, of course, depends on how the mutual performance is between our teams and the partners' teams. If I can have the next slide. From an application architecture point of view, so you see there in green SAP, so our core single instance ERP backbone is SAP. We are still on SAP ECC6, latest version. We are not yet on S/4HANA in general terms, at least not for the ERP backbone. The sidecars, I would say, like BW Analytics and an EVM are already on S/4HANA, but not the core of SAP. Next to SAP as a backbone system of record, we have also selected carefully other best-of-breed solutions like APODP for forecasting, OMP, which we use for supply chain planning, long-term, mid-term, short-term planning globally, Maximo for our factory maintenance planning and maintenance execution and spare parts management globally, single instance. And we also now started 2 pilots with full-blown MES, manufacturing execution systems. This is, however, not in the scope of this RFP. Okay? Salesforce in our digital workspace, digital strategy, Salesforce is key for business partner relationship management, both with our customers and with our suppliers. I will come back on that in the next slide. Analytics is from a data warehousing point of view on S4 BW. BW, S4 BW. So we're about to finalize by end of June, beginning of July, the full migration of all our analytics from former BW to S4 BW HANA. So it is on S4 BW. And we have virtualization layers, which is SAP HAC on the one hand, and then also Einstein Analytics for the business partner relationship management, so the outside-in world. Digital workspace for us is Salesforce. What you see at the bottom of the of this picture, this application architecture picture. Salesforce, as already mentioned, also CloudCraze for B2B ordering. We have HR SuccessFactors as a global people platform, so any process from HR is supported with SuccessFactors. Is in global use today only by white-collar people, in the future also by blue-collar people, so the 12,000 people are very about. We have Google as a collaboration platform, but also for some selected applications. Concur, expense load management, Tagetic for planning, budgeting, and forecasting. And Numerics is an add-on that we have for commodity risk management. Cocoa is a commodity. The risk management of that commodity we do amongst others, and the value at risk through Numerics. Important in all of this because since let's say the last 5 to 10 years, when we started to accelerate on digital, we introduced more applications that we have selected, very carefully selected. Architecting is key, having a middleware is key. So we also have SAP PO for on-premise applications and MuleSoft for cloud applications that we use for configuring the integration and the interfacing with all these applications. 2 strategic global middleware platforms, PO and MuleSoft. If I can have the next slide, yeah. So I mentioned already Salesforce. So next to SAP, if I need to mention 2 key strategic platforms for Barry Callebaut, it is the SAP ERP backbone on the one hand, and it's Salesforce on the other hand. So Salesforce, as already mentioned, is used for business partner relationship management. We are today extending the use with direct customers and direct suppliers, which is about 5,000 direct customers, 3,000 direct suppliers, to indirect customers. So Anne will talk about that a little bit later on to support our gourmet strategy towards, amongst others, HoReCa. We plan to create a community of 1 million customers of our customers, so really go digital with the Salesforce platform. And at the same time, we're also currently evaluating whether we could use for our indirect suppliers, our farmers, 500,000 farmers we want to lift out of poverty in the context of Forever Chocolate 2025. We are evaluating whether Salesforce is not a better platform moving forward to support us on this journey of Forever Chocolate 2025. And that's something we currently evaluate. So if you go to the picture to the left, you see some processes like new customer introduction, new finished product introduction, customer complaint handling, customer request handling, customer portals. Digital marketing is not mentioned over here, but all of it is on Salesforce. And the same thing, the interaction with our suppliers, new supplier introduction, new raw material introduction, etc. Within the portals, self-service with 3,000 suppliers it's all on Salesforce. If I can have the next slide, good. I think Barry Callebaut is, we are internally a 300 headcount internal information management organization to serve that 7 billion business with 12,000 employees. 70% of my team globally is in a shared service center. And we have 3 main centers, which are Zurich, Wiese, and Łódź. Zurich in Switzerland, of course, Wiese in Belgium, and Łódź is in Poland. We have buy centers in other locations like St. Hyacinthe in Canada, Chicago, Brazil. It's to cover time zone, it's to cover geographical proximity, but the 3 main centers with the largest pools of people at Barry Callebaut are in Switzerland, Wiese, and Łódź. So number 1 is Łódź, Poland, number 2 is Wiese, and number 3 is Zurich. What is most important and more important for the call today, today we are talking about application delivery in scope of this RFP, which is the projects we deliver to the business. It's application support, application maintenance and support, and it's also master data management. So more details will come in this presentation. What is our sourcing strategy for all 3 of them? So in application delivery, which is us delivering the projects for the Barry Callebaut business, whether it be on SAP, Salesforce, or on other platforms. We have a 50% internal, 50% external sourcing strategy. So it's mixed teams of internal and external staff. In application support, we primarily insource and have some selective outsourcing. In the context of this RFP, you will see that mainly driven by 24 hours, 7 days on 7, we will start to outsource a little bit more in application support. And then last, master data management has its daily services component that stays insourced, but then the project work that the master data people are doing from the team of Marzena, who will introduce her later on, that project work in master data is also scope of this RFP. So scope of this RFP is what you see in the red rectangle: application delivery, application support, master data management. The sourcing strategy, high level, is mentioned in that second column, and just as explained by me. The idea is these teams are complementary to our teams with some on-site, nearshore, and offshoring components. Pretty good. That discussion is for later. If I can go to the next slide, yes. The scope of this RFP and then the key expectations are as follows. So on the horizontal axis, you see the project services coming back, which is application delivery. So the projects also
But can you maybe take over while Steven comes back?
Did we lose Steven?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, we did. So, oh, he's there again. He's back.
Okay.
good. So I was not aware I was at. So where did you lose me?
At the start of the slide 14,
Okay,
Steven.
good. So coming now to the scope of this RFP, after giving you quite some background, the scope of this RFP and the key expectations. So on the horizontal axis, you see the project services, which is application delivery and master data management. So basically the project work we do for Barry Callebaut. And next to that is the application support services. You see in the columns 3 clusters of applications. So you have SAP in the broader sense, the ERP backbone, and then its peripherals like SAP EWM, SAP BW. We have the core digital applications, which is primarily Salesforce, and next to that SuccessFactors. And third, we have a cluster of, I would call it all the rest, which is Tagetik, OMP, Numerics, Google, IBM, Maximo. What is the scope of this RFP? And in the application delivery and master data management, which is the project services, both the SAP and the digital work is in. There, as already mentioned, we have a sourcing strategy of working shoulder by shoulder between internal and external staff, 50-50%. So that is in scope of this RFP. For the other applications, IBM, OMP, Tagetik, I would call it resource-based. So there, historically, we have sourced the resources from where we could get them. And in our reach to market to all of you is also to understand what type of skills you would be having in those areas. The core of this RFP is, however, SAP in its broader sense, and then Salesforce and SuccessFactors. On the application support side is SAP, but it's more there ad hoc because we primarily try to insource our application support for SAP. But we will start selectively more outsourcing in the context of 24 hours, 7 days on 7 support requirements that we have in certain areas, and actually extend the scope of SAP in terms of outsourced application support. Salesforce and SuccessFactors has always been outsourced application maintenance and support for reasons of being able to have access to skills in the marketplace. That remains, and we want to bring it more to a managed application maintenance and support service with clear SLA targets given certain activity volumes that we have. Then on the other application side, a little bit the same thing. So IBM, OMP, resource-based. So historically, this is part of the tail. Take the resources where you can find them. And in our reach out to market to all of you, we want to better understand what type of skills you could offer us in that domain. If I need to talk, put numbers to it, SAP is still most important today in terms of weight, followed by Salesforce and SuccessFactors, followed by the other applications. You will also see in the detailed document, RFP document that you will receive from us on Friday, the details about, what we're talking about in terms of work that needs to be done. What are key expectations? Project services, it's resource access with an opti-sourcing, on-site resources, near offshore resources. We want to have the necessary business acumen and innovation, let's say thought knowledge being brought in from the food industry. So our team, our information management team is very business-centric. We are close to the business. We stay close to how businesses evolve and what are trends in the industry. And we expect that also from our partner and future partners. We want to have a transformational business integration mindset. It's about process applications, data, IT infrastructure, change management, ability to lead complexer projects, multi-year programs even, so transformational. For us, what is also key is global ease of doing business with. Barry Callebaut is a global company. We are very globally customer-centric to the Unilevers, the Mondelezes of this world with key account management. As an information management department to Barry Callebaut, we provide the one-stop service when it comes to information management to the Barry Callebaut business. And that's also what we expect from our tier 1 partners. So we expect a global chain of command that spans cross countries on our supplier side, that you can make things move in whatever region or country the work is at Barry Callebaut. And of course, TCO, as already mentioned, we are a cost company in B2B. Cost leadership is key. Cost leadership as information management in providing the services to Barry Callebaut is key. So cost leadership, this is also what I expect in the services we get from our partner and future partners. And then if I move to the bottom part, application and support, so we will gradually move here a little bit more to professional managed services into certain areas with more KPIs and SLAs on these KPIs built in. Related to that a little bit, transformational and continuous improvement in the context of 24 hours, 7 days on 7, how to make that work. Yeah? Resource access is of course key. Can we find the resources? And then also again here TCO, cost leadership, can we find these resources at attractive enough, let's say, cost for Barry Callebaut? If I go to the next slide, yes. We already mentioned that at the beginning, and scope of this RFP key expectations. We also want to be very explicit here is that in the context of this RFP, we have reflected on our vendor strategy, our partner strategy for these important services to the Barry Callebaut group. We used to have a strategy of bringing in one tier one and then a tail of others, as I already mentioned in the introduction today. The strategy we have moving forward is that we would like to partner in the future with 2 main tier 1 vendors that become our partners. What are the drivers for this? We already mentioned it, but I would like to repeat it. It's speed of delivery that has doubled in the past 5 years. So fiscal year 17 to 21, we doubled the CAPEX, we doubled the speed, we more than doubled the speed of delivery. We think we now, given a mid-sized multinational company and our spend levels, that we have also room for 2 tier 1 vendors and partners. It's about resource access. We must have access to the resources we need to deliver on our challenging journey in the years to come. And I would like to just repeat. So first on the left, it's the business integration type of mindset that we need, process, business application, business data, business master data, IT infrastructure, change management. So how do we bring the change together with business people to the business? Data is key because master data management in the broad sense at Barry Callebaut is under information management. So customer material, vendor master data, the end-to-end of it is in my team with Marzena, who will introduce her in a minute. So this is key, integration mindset, business integration mindset all around. Resource access means also our key applications like SAP, Salesforce, SuccessFactors, MuleSoft, but all the other ones that I have mentioned. Do you have these skills into your portfolio? Can you offer these skills to Barry Callebaut? And for us, what is also important, resource access, there are these challenges, or call it opportunities for the future. Robotics, process automation, artificial intelligence, but also the upcoming SAP S/4HANA and the like. Yeah? What is it that you can bring to the table, yeah, to make us successful as a services provider to Barry Callebaut on the things which will matter in the years to come? So it's on the what's next. Last is a tier 1 vendor strategy is also a way of keeping ourselves fit as a management team, information management team. Will perhaps trigger more self-reflection moving forward, and it's a way and a means of keeping us all fit through some healthy competition and mutual challenging. Now a bit on what do we have to offer in the years to come. So Barry Callebaut has a project portfolio which we structure around 6 main investment teams. We make a yearly update of that. That's typically in the January-February timeframe together with the business. We are sitting on a 300,000 man-day worth of project portfolio. And at the current speed, we can act. We can deliver 50,000 man-days a year with 250 FTE on average, 50% internal, 50% external. That means we actually have a pipeline of 6 years ahead of us. I sometimes jokingly say, as I will never be able to get through this work before I go on retirement, but it is like that. Every year we look into the list. Every year we reduce it with 50K. Every year we adding another 50K because we see other opportunities for the future. Let me now zoom into a bit very high level into the 6 investment teams that you get a little bit of flavor of it. So zero, and that's with zero, I do not mean is zero, this is where it all starts. It's growth. If we build a new factory, if we do an acquisition, we need to integrate those new sites in a very reliable way on our application platform, SAP, Salesforce, HR, SuccessFactors, etc. So growth, growth, growth. We are a growth company. This is also what always gets the highest priority in Barry Callebaut. So this year we have like 3-4 factory integrations. Serbia, India, Australia, in Forum we just completed growth to fuel the 5 to 7% per year. Then we have 1 and 2, so it's top global projects, or which were the new ones we launched like two years ago, and then ongoing transformations. So it's Fox is a transformation in finance, but most of it still some to come, but a lot is already behind us. Supply chain transformation is in supply chain planning. We have transformations going on further to raise the bar in terms of customer care, in terms of pricing, that is DO2. Ongoing transformations for us is also information security, but that's not part of the scope of this RFP. Ongoing SAP integrations is part of the ongoing transformations. We still have 10% of our company which is not yet on the global SAP landscape, and we want to bring them all into the global landscape. Sustainability, Forever Chocolate 2025 strategy leads to a journey which we need to deliver on and provide the business capabilities, processes, systems, applications, and ongoing transformation. Then we have pure digital, go-to-market SRM, call it Salesforce, customer relationship management, vendor relationship management, which is 3. 4 is regional function-specific projects. So when we need to do a Brexit, okay, good, we call that a regional function or a regional project for Europe. You see also a picture here of a large distribution center, bottom left. That's the global distribution center we are building in Lokeren. So this is an example of a regional function for our operations and supply chain organization. So that's another investment team category. And then we have projects, I call it keeping the lights on. IT must do projects. For the time being, we put SAP HANA in that category. It will need to become a more business-driven project, but one day we're going to do it, and we categorized it over there. But if we need to do application upgrades, go to the next version of SAP, go to the next version of Maximo, it would be also in that 6th, number 5 year category. Long story short, 3,000 mandate project portfolio, current capacity 50,000 mandates a year, 250 FTE, 50% internal, 50% external, 6 years of capacity. We are sold out, so we have more than work to do, and it's all about a matter of priority setting. Then a little bit more detail. I will not cover here all the details, but you will have views also in the detailed RFP deck on how that project portfolio looks like. You see, first of all, a chart, a pie chart, top left, which is by this investment team cluster, which you have seen on the previous slide. You also see top right slide, a little bit of split SAP versus digital Salesforce versus some others. So you still see that SAP is the biggest, followed by Salesforce. So on the digital side, so and those two make a bigger portion of the entire portfolio. It's the light green and the dark green. Sorry, and the blue. And then you have other, which is the other. Weight, template, design versus rollout. So if we look into our portfolio and we classify the projects according to what is pure rollout versus what is raising the bar in terms of improving the capability, improving the process, the system support, the data, then I think still the majority, a little bit more than 50%, is actually raising the bar and not pure rollout. So, and if you go to the bottom right, global versus local, it's clear that our project portfolio is primarily global. The capabilities, the improvements, the strategic improvement initiatives we have are global initiatives, which makes it a global project portfolio, which means that those projects have really a global impact and a global reach for the company. It's a global project portfolio, not projects out there in the corner. So what is local is if you do a sub-integration, for instance, in a local entity, we would still consider that local, but 75% of the portfolio is just global projects. If I can have the next slide, Bart. Yeah, good. Then this is, and I said it in the beginning in the context and in the introduction, this is the most important go-to-market for Barry Callebaut, for the most important services we deliver to the business, which is application services, both the projects and the support, but also the master data management services, at least the project component of it. Yeah. For that, we have mobilized from information management several people, which is my management team, or at least part of it, that will take a key role in going through this exercise, given the importance of it. And I now allow them, I will let them introduce themselves, and we will start with Bart.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, hello. I'm Bart Heijvaart. I'm working for Barry Callebaut for 13 years now in the application delivery area. And at the moment, I'm responsible for the projects we do in application delivery for our COCO business unit. And next to that, also for the projects we do for our operations and supply chain teams and the QA and sustainability areas. And in that sense, also, I've got one key transformation project that I would like to highlight. Steven already mentioned it. It's our Forever Chocolate 2025 program. On which we are supporting from my MIT side and will continue to do so for the next years. It's actually constructed around, on business side, 4 pillars. First one is everything around zero child labor, so basically about eradicating child labor. Second one is prospering farmers, where we want to lift 500,000 farmers out of poverty. Third one is thriving nature, where we want to become carbon and forest positive, as Barry Callebaut. And a fourth one is sustainable chocolate, where we want to basically make sure that all our chocolate in the end is made with 100% sustainable ingredients. Now, for that, over the last good 5 years, we've been working already on different solutions to support that business strategy. For example, field activities on getting to know farmers better, or for example, on traceability solutions to make sure that we can ensure the sustainable chocolate. We've been doing that with several applications, SAP ECC, SAP Global Batch Traceability, and also specific solutions for what we call field activities. So, for example, farm services as a solution, or SAP Rural Sourcing Management for what we do with the farmers specifically. Now here over the next years, we will continue to invest a lot in this area, actually even accelerating still. And also, as Steven mentioned, we're looking into doing that possibly by leveraging Salesforce, because one of the areas where we will be going further in is everything related to the sales side, if you will, of it. For example, on better managing the coaches which we have in the origin countries. We work with coaches supporting the farmers. We have about 2,000 of those coaches in different origin countries. We're looking for solutions there, which could be Salesforce, to do better follow-up of those coaches, to do visit planning, visit reports, etc. So a kind of CRM solution, which in essence Salesforce is. So more investments to come in that area. So quite key transformation for us, which is one that I wanted to highlight here briefly.
And Anne, can you introduce yourself and then also talk us about Gourmet 1510?
Yes, yes. Hello, everybody. I'm Anne van Brussel, 16 years now with the company. I'm working as application manager for the region EMEA, so managing there the demand of it. And next to that, I'm also responsible for the digital work streams. Okay. And in the context of digital, one main project that we will be working on in the next 3 to 5 years is the Gourmet 1-5-10 strategy. What does it stand for? We want to make sure that we come in contact with 1 million engaged end customers in 5 different priority segments and across 10 different applications. Okay. There are a number of initiatives that we will do to make sure that we can enable this strategy. And to give a few examples is that, first of all, of course, what we are working on already now, we're starting the journey to try to change, in fact, our platform and our branded websites and make sure that we can offer this as a multi-brand experience to our customers, making sure that everything is tailored to their experiences. Of course, we will also look at end-user targeting, meaning that we are looking, for example, as well to see, can we do a collaboration with Google, for example. Everybody knows that Google has a wealth of information available on everybody who's surfing on the internet. So there we want to see on how we can also benefit from all that information. With all these informations, with our own branded websites, also then with our Pardot campaigns that we're doing with Salesforce, we want to make sure that we build a very big database of customers. To be able to engage with 1 million end customers, we aim to build a database of 4 million end customers. Okay. To these end customers, then, we want to generate, in fact, a kind of a pull mechanism, meaning that, first of all, you will, of course, do your push strategy towards your distributors, but by generating a pull and by making sure that we can make those end customers enthusiastic about all our products, we will also make sure that they generate a pull towards the distributors to ask for our products. Okay. How will we do that? Of course, like already mentioned before, we're using Pardot from Salesforce to work on all our marketing campaigns. Next to that, on Salesforce, we're then also using Einstein Analytics, now known as Tableau CRM, where we have built a lot of integrated reports already, where both the sales and the marketing can follow up on the success stories of the campaigns that we're doing, but still a lot more to be done in this area as well. Next to that as well, we're improving, or we want to further improve on the collaboration between sales and marketing. In the past, sometimes they were working both on isolated islands, and we want to make sure that you can have the direct link and measure the direct effect of your marketing campaigns and see this then reflected in a higher sales. And then we're also working on our route to market. Okay, today we're often going to distributors. What we want to do is we want to improve the collaboration with these distributors. We aim, by sharing information from the distributors to ourselves, that we can also then improve the communication to these end customers, which should result in a higher sales for those distributors. Next to that, we want to build a system that from our websites, we would also have the possibility to place transfer orders that will be orders that we will not supply ourselves to the customers, but that will go over the distributors. And then over time as well, we want to see where there are possibilities to start some own e-commerce as well. Okay, so these are just a few of the initiatives that we want to do in the 1-5-10 strategy.
Okay, thank you, Anne. Thank you, Anne. Then I will cover for Simone Meine. Simone has some connection issues for the moment. So Simone is also an applications manager. Simone is responsible for the governance with 2 key global functions. Finance on the one hand and sourcing on the other hand. And Simone is also responsible for capability building in finance, managed finance and controlling, sourcing as a process domain, but also analytics. Yeah. Simone, unlike Bart and Anne, who are based in Belgium, is based in Switzerland. His key transformation is on analytics. Analytics we need to bring to the next level. We started on a journey which is enterprise performance management, bringing all kinds of analytics to our management at Barry Callebaut across all domains, multi-source, so SAP, Salesforce, others clearly define the global KPIs, governed KPIs, governed data, and bring us here at the next level. Also when it comes to self-service analytics, which is a key requirement for the future. Also multi-year initiative, 21, 22, 23, and an interesting journey ahead of us. Having taken the voice for Simone, I pass it on to Marzena.
Hi, good afternoon, good evening. Marzena Kardas, I'm Global Head of Master Data. 2 years, a bit more than 2 years in the company. Having the team in 4 locations today. Steven a bit mentioned already across different domains, customer, vendor, material, bombs, packaging, but also 2 applications, which is the technical sheet and the label printing applications across the globe. And having a team in 4 locations across the globe, splitting into operations, so day-to-day services that we do this internally in-house, and project work that we cut internal and external. What is important as a factor also from the journey perspective and the things that we will be focusing on in the next 3 to 5 years is really the kind of the ETL, as we call it, or MDG type of digitalization. So really the technology transformation we are going to do. And there are a few things maybe for your information that we want to tackle. First of all, make sure that we also change the role as master data in the business world from really the execution and the maintenance of a data in SAP into being a facilitator of a data and trying to coordinate the data flow between the business departments. Making sure also that data flow is going in the seamless way, meaning that there is a data integrity between different systems, internal and also external, while we are sending the data outside of the BC world. So having all of the good synchronization of the data. The second important element is also that we are going to have more and more self-service data maintenance, so really push back the data to the business or even to the external world of customers and vendors, and having the data flow then across all of the systems that we have in BC. So for me, in that journey also will be important, apart from having a partner that really is being strong in data, having locations in different part of the world, is also important to have a partner that can help us to bring us to the next level and be kind of a sparring partner also for me, having the experience also working with other companies and doing this transformational journey.
Okay, thank you, Marzena.
Thank you.
Then, so far, I think Bart, Anne, Simone, and Marzena covered a little bit the application delivery side and master data side of project services, that is scope of this RFP. I also said in the introduction, we have another important scope, which is application maintenance and support services. And for that, I would like to have Katarzyna introduce herself.
Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Katarzyna Mikulska. I'm located in Poland, and I'm responsible in Barry Callebaut for global services in scope of applications maintenance and support. For IMS services right now, we are having mixed strategy. SAP support service is managed rather in-house, as mentioned before during the presentation, by internal team mostly. HR SuccessFactor, Salesforce support IMS services are delivered by external partners. With this RFP, for a global IMS services, we expect professional managed services and also a transformation in part of the services towards 24/7. The main IMS objective for the managed services scope of work, mostly in the area of Salesforce, SuccessFactors, and sub-analytics, we expect end-to-end service with a push on continuous improvement and year-on-year productivity confirmation. We also expect proactive monitoring around, for example, badge jobs monitoring, which will lead for BW reports availability on time. It should be something like a proactive IMS, which lead to the quality service towards our business. We are looking for the nearshore but also offshore delivery model. We are looking for the capability and best-in-class processes and tools. And I think also important is good user experience in this area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kasia. And I think Jorge, meanwhile, did not join again, or did he? I don't think so.
No, so Jorge.
Can you introduce Jorge?
Yes, I will. So Jorge is obviously watching, but there are some connection issues as well. So he's a category manager for general services. I'm sure you all have already talked to him before. He's also almost 2 years now in BC, and he's actually headquartered in, or at least quartered in our headquarters in Switzerland. And obviously he will take the responsibility for the sourcing and legal elements, and also lead together, of course, with the team, this RFP process.
Okay. And last, Steven Van Damme and myself, I will introduce myself, Chief Information Officer at Barry Callebaut. I split my time in normal circumstances, non-COVID, between Belgium and Switzerland. And what are my key expectations? Basically all of the above, or call it, I want it all. Yeah. Okay, then still to have a bit of picture on the organization chart, because you saw some faces of people, and then to understand a little bit our organization. So as a CIO at Barry Callebaut, but this is not mentioned over here, I'm reporting to the CFO, Chief Financial Officer. My team is organized in vertical pillars. You have seen Anne van Brussel, Bart Heijvaart, Simone Meine introducing themselves. What they do is the demand management and the application delivery. So each of Simone, Bart, Anne have both a demand management role, being a business partner to a region or to a function, sorry, to a region of US, a function, a global function. And they are also responsible for application delivery, so for a capability building and a capability center. So Bart, Anne being in Belgium, Simone in our Swiss center, Katarzyna, Kasia in the Łódź center. Master data management is a globally organized specialties pillar under the head of Marzena. And she has also her main team in Poland, but also with Athena activities in Chicago in the Americas, and then in Port Klang in Malaysia in Asia Pacific. Application support services, also a global pillar, which is a specialization. Main teams, at least the end-sourced component, is in Łódź, Poland, with antenna activities in the countries and the region for reason of 24 hours, 7 days on 7. Yeah? And then IT infrastructure and authorizations. But this is not the scope of this RFP. Also a global vertical pillar. They drive harmonization. They drive all the efficiency of their services that they provide to the Barry Callebaut business. So this gives a little bit where this picture, the people that you have been meeting today in the call, where you can see them in an org chart. Yeah. Next slide, and that's the last one, I think, for today, before we move into the next steps. I've mentioned already we are a cost leader as Barry Callebaut. Cost leadership is a key strategic pillar. This is our ticket to operate with the Nestlé's, the Unilevers, the Mondelez's of this world. Every department is expected to be a cost leader. We are also a cost leader as information management in providing our services to the Barry Callebaut business. And we are beating, all of you will be familiar with Gartner, but the Gartner benchmarks for the food business-to-business industry, which is 1.6% spent of the worldwide operating expenses of Barry Callebaut. We are below that. Yeah? We are below that with everything that we do. I think the aim is to continue being like that, because we are a cost leader and every department is supposed to be one, but we have been catching up. So you see here a multi-year graph. I would call it the first section is 5 to 10 years ago, then the middle section is the last 5 years, and then the other section is our midterm financial plan for the 5 years to come. We went down in the first 5 years, 10 to 5 years ago. We went up in the last 5 years, acceleration, doubling the CAPEX, doubling the speed of delivery, and we aim to remain in that space for the next 5 years to come. So close to the Gartner benchmark, remain a cost leader and be slightly below that. Yeah. And now if we could move to the next section. So this is the next steps before we open for some Q&A. Anne, I suggest you cover.
Indeed. So in the main process, what we will do, obviously, in the next slide, we will inform you about the deadlines, but we will run this RFP via a Google Suite drive. Normally, we've also received a link with some, obviously, a link to have access to the Google Drive. And so please do, if you have any questions, let us know. This allows us to work in a very nice exchanged way because you will have access to your own folder where you can download but also upload your responses. There will be a main document and obviously quite some appendices as well. It's also in a structured way, and we also hope that you look into the responses in a shorter way, that you respect the amount of pages that we receive by the information in a way that we can also easily assess them. And we will also define, obviously, the profile levels that we require, and so that where you can amend and also add your adjustments or your profile matrix into it. The main thing, what we wanted to tell you here, so you will not receive the information on an email or anything like that. We will use the Google Drive with some notifications, so please already double check if your business email address, because you do not need to create a Gmail address, but your business email address, if that is open for the Google Drive access. And then I'll go to the next slide, where obviously it's the planning. So on Friday, which is in a few days, we will give you access to this drive where you can find, as I mentioned, your own folder and all the documents needed. Obviously, then we would like to get your official reception of the questions that you also will provide to us, and we will also give you answers back. All the answers all the questions, I mean, that we will receive from you will be shared with all vendors, but we'll also have individual calls if there are any more additional questions that you have. So you will find that all back in the document in the RFP. And then you have also the other steps of the proposal submission. And then we go from a longer to a shorter listing with some workshops. And the aim is, as already mentioned by Steven in the beginning, the aim is to have a contract signature in November. So we normally allow enough time and space also for you to raise questions, to also have enough time for your proposal. But please do use the Google Drive, do use these timings that are set, because these will be probably the only moments where the full team will be available. So I think that's it for today. Yeah.
And before we now open up like 15 minutes for questions, the key ones, still I forgot one thing. So there's a person in this call that did not introduce himself yet. So I mentioned already, this is a very important go-to-market of Barry Callebaut. It's about our bread and butter, the services we just talked about, where we make or break the reputation as a department in our company. Given that importance, we also work with an external, let's say, party that supports us on this journey, and we have selected for that S-Square, so here represented by Vikrant today. Also in workshops which would then be upcoming, they're also going to be participating in this. Questions? I don't know if we have some key questions to respond to.
Thanks, Steven. Yeah, we have a number of questions that came in. I think so we are going to deal with some of the main strategy approach related questions now. There are also a number of detailed technical questions around scope, but that will be followed not in this session, but in the Q&A responses that we send to you. So I'll look at some of the few strategy questions. The first question, maybe Steven, this is for you, is does Barry Callebaut also include transformation and strategy work as part of this RFP?
It depends on what you call strategy. Yeah? So this RFP is not about business strategy and defining the business strategy, not about the organizational strategy at Barry Callebaut, not about what should be the footprint strategy of Barry Callebaut. Where do we put our factories, yes or no? Where do we put our distribution centers? Yeah? But as you will have seen in what and heard what Bart, Anne, Marzena have been presenting, a lot of the things we do are global initiatives, multi-year initiatives. They are part of a transformational journey. Strategic, key, impactful, multi-year, complex, etc. And we need to deliver on the process, the application, the data capabilities to support these journeys. So is that strategy? In our definition, it is not. If you believe that as part of the work you will be doing in this, under the scope of this RFP, that you have real strategic value added to bring to Barry Callebaut and say, have you thought about this, this, and that? Yeah? And you should rethink some of the business strategy that you have today. Then yes, you can raise that, and that can then be discussed. But this is still about executing on a multi-year business capability roadmap in support of business strategies which have already been defined. Forever Chocolate 2025 has been defined. Gourmet 1510 strategy has been defined. What we expect from an ETL-driven data transformation journey, we have defined largely. Can it be refined in terms of how to fill it in? Of course, so the multi-year roadmap is there, where we want to bring it together with the business, but in many areas, still a lot of things need to be filled in. I give an example, ETL-driven transformation. Yes, we have the idea on where we want to land it, a very high-level idea on how to walk that journey, but a lot still needs to be defined also together. And yes, we're looking for a partner, and I've mentioned that in my key expectations, which can also help us on these transformational journeys and help co-shaping them with us. Yeah? So yes, we need soundboards in doing what we're doing, because we don't have always the truth and only but the truth in our power. And this,
okay.
Yeah,
thanks,
second
Steven.
question.
Yeah, the next question is around how would you govern the two partners together? So around the governance model.
Okay, it's a good question, and to be honest, like I already said, as part of this RFP, key is also that we're changing the sourcing strategy. We have, from our side, made already certain pre-reflections on how we think this might be working. But we go in with a very open-minded attitude into this process. We also learn from you how you might be seeing such coexistence. And some of you and many of you, I think I put it differently, we might have been particular as Barry Callebaut to have had in the last 5 years plus the strategy that we have had, which was a single tier one, and then a big tail or a bigger tail. And many of you will already have experienced that coexistence at other companies. So if you can bring insights to the table on how you would be seeing that, that would be very welcome. And for me, this is a two-way communication on. So first of all, we will of course see that based on the scope of services, and remember that slide, key expectation, scope of services, it's clear that we have some potential lots or clusters there into our minds. And some of these clustering have pros and cons, and others have other pros and cons. So we made some pre-reflections, but we go into this process with a very open mindset. And we also want to learn from you on how you might see this. Yeah?
Okay, thanks, Steven. Next question. There are a number of questions, but related to the same topic. Can you talk a bit about your strategy with nearshore? So, what was the approach on setting up and philosophy for setting up Wuj? Why is SAP application support then sourced from Wuj? And how do you see the balance between nearshore and offshore? And how do you see that evolution going forward?
Okay, good. I think so far what we have done is that I think so. And now I go back 5-6 years ago, where we reflected as a company, also given the company we were at the time and the size that we had, is can we go on with the organizational strategy as we had it, which was on-site, on-site, on-site. And Belgium, Switzerland, all the rest was almost nothing, so far too concentrated into 2 countries. And then we said we wanted to have nearshore, first of all, for we do their authorization management, so the entire global service or by upload. Master data, we put more over there because we said let's put into a location that also has a lot of skills in this area, by the way, master data management. This is a lot being done out of Poland also for other countries, so sorry, for other companies. And then when it comes to application maintenance and support, we had at the time, and yeah, perhaps not, I go back 5-6 years ago, not that clear of a strategy when it comes to RMS, a bit internal, a bit external. And then we pulled the card of saying we pull application maintenance support from Belgium and Switzerland, and we put it captive in another location, and we preferred actually to do it near shore. Yeah? But Barikatboot as an overall corporate strategy going broader than my department had taken the strategic direction to say we need to have a captive nearshore center for the company, for finance functions, and then also I jumped on that wagon to say, and on that train to say, let's also do it for information management. So it was a global reflection as a company to say, we grow as a company, we become a bit of a larger mid-sized multinational. We cannot keep on having all people into higher cost locations like Switzerland and Belgium. We need to do something nearshore, offshore. And with us, the strategy decision was organization-wise broader than my department to do it captive and to do it nearshore from Poland. And so Europe has also certain advantages where you are in the middle of the time zones of the Americas and Asia Pacific. So we are in between. Good access to skills in the Polish market, strong, let's say, global managed services out of there. And that's a bit the background. So we define this as a corporate strategy, and information management embraced that strategy. We are the second largest department being present in that Wuj captive center. So finance is number 1, and number 2 is information management. We offshore, but the offshoring we do is through our partners. But you will see that also in the RFP document. Everything which is development, Force.com development, ABAP development, MuleSoft development, SAP PO development, we do that offshore. And then also we outsource it more. So development we tend to outsource more and insource less, only for key business custom-built applications. Yeah. So that's the story about nearshoring Poland. So corporate direction, corporate strategy to do that. By the way, we're now establishing a second larger captive center also in Malaysia. We are already there with information management to cover the Asia Pacific region, but it's a bit corporate strategy.
Yeah, thanks, Steven. And we talked a lot about nearshore, but also it is clear that from an application support perspective, but also projects delivery, Barry Callebaut is open to look for certainly for support to go from deliver it from offshore. It is already delivered partly from offshore, and for project services also we would welcome your ideas on how more of this can be delivered from offshore or nearest shore locations.
Yes, correct.
Okay. There was a question on whether the slides will be shared. Yes, the slides will be shared with all of you, so you will have the content. One question on, we have not seen any Microsoft technology in there. So maybe can you explain a bit on that, on your choice, Steven?
I think, first of all, we are a Google company. So we selected 7-8 years ago Google as a global collaboration platform. By the way, very robust in working from home times. I remember March, April, May of 2020, a lot of people complaining on the robustness of Microsoft Teams. We never had any issues, so we are more of a Google-oriented company. We still keep Microsoft Office a little bit, let's say, for the diehards with Excel and PowerPoint, but more and more the entire company switches really full blown end-to-end to Google. And also from the only thing I think we then have with Microsoft is tactical for the Microsoft Office on diehards PowerPoint Excel. We use also Microsoft as a service provider for our hyperscaler, so the Microsoft Azure for our data center services. We have not selected Power BI as our visualization analytics platform at Barry Callebaut. We have not.
Okay, we have 3 minutes left. I think we'll tackle one last question, and then for the rest of the questions, they will be answered as part of the Q&A that you received. Those are mostly detailed questions around the technical scope. So the one question is probably, Kasha, directed at you. For SAP application support, will it be completely outsourced, or is it going to be a mix of both teams?
SAP services are foreseen as, for a moment of time, in-house service. It might be that for the resource accesses, we would like to ask for the outsourcing. However, for SAP as such, we, for a moment of time, and you will find it in RFP, will not foresee huge outsourcing. The biggest part of the outsource is foreseen for HR SuccessFactors, Salesforce, and we are also seeing analytics services, including SAP BW, SAP BW for HANA, HANA native solutions, and all, and also the user service portals like dashboards created in Einstein Analytics or SAC. This kind of the services, we will look for the outsourcing partner to cooperate with us. Why? Because in analytics area, we are really looking for the proactive service towards our business to make sure that our reporting created in BW solutions are delivered on time and have a good quality without mistakes in the data inside.
Okay, thank you, Kasha. So perhaps we can wrap up, Steven.
No, I think, like said by Vikrant, we could not cover all answers to your questions today. We covered the key ones. We will respond, let's say, through a Q&A document at this stage. Slides will be shared. Expect from us the RFP document by end of this week, Friday, as mentioned. And at this stage, we would like to thank you very much for, first of all, your interest in this and your active interest in this go-to-market from Barry Callebaut, and for being so numerously present today with 40 plus people. Thanks for your questions and looking forward to engaging and communicating in the weeks and the months to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being so patient as well with this special way of